Today we're breaking down the NFL draft in two important ways. First, by picking each team's winners and losers, and second, by predicting the future for these rookies using a simple method of tape, metrics, stats, and opportunity. And then we make a big old fat guess, because that's literally what everyone does. We're breaking down every team and we're doing it by division. This is the NFC North. Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. Join us as we dive face first into the empty pool that is the NFL Draft. Minnesota Vikings. Not a lot of draft picks to judge here. According to NFL.com, they addressed 2 of their 5 needs. Gavin Bartholomew sounds like someone who's been murdering prostitutes in 18th century England. They also traded the Seahawks for quarterback Sam Howell. Winners. J.J. McCarthy. The Vikings invested more into protecting him and gave him another receiver. Losers. Youth. The average age of the Vikings defensive starters is 29. Gonna be hard for these late-round rookies to make conversation about skibbity toilets when everyone is rubbing Geritol on each other's backs and talking about property taxes. In the 3rd round, they took Felton, wide receiver out of Maryland. He's good on the boundary and makes tough catches in traffic, good after the catch, breaking tackles and spinning away from defenders. He gets adequate separation from defenders, creates yards after catch, runs intermediate routes and uses breakaway speed to create chunk plays. He might struggle with physical coverage. His comp is Bo Melton. Felton is 6'1", 183 pounds. He runs a 4.37 with a 92 percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 9.20. He had 3 years of production in college with 167 receptions for 2,156 yards receiving and 17 total touchdowns. The depth chart consists of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Nailor, and Rondale Moore. Jefferson is 26 years old, he's the best in the league. Addison is 23 years old, and he has been as advertised. Nailor is 26 years old, he's on the final year of his contract, and he's making peanuts. Everybody is pretty well entrenched here. Even Jalen Nailor is in a role that they like him in. So I think it's less likely that Felton takes that role from him this year, and more likely that he would replace him next year after Nailor moves on. Nailor's going to be looking for that second contract, and it's probably not going to come with the Vikings. Long-term, Felton is probably an upgrade over Nailor, but what's that worth? That role here is still 4th in the pecking order behind Jefferson, Addison, and TJ Hawkinson. And we're still projecting because we really haven't seen J.J. McCarthy at the pro level yet. There's a lot to like about Felton, but the path to being a regular fantasy contributor seems unlikely. In the 5th round, they took Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins, defensive tackle out of Georgia. He's got an explosive first step. He's technically sound, great change of direction. He's got traits and tools that can be developed. He's a big man who swallows ball carriers whole and spits out the bones. Dawkins is 6'5", 276 pounds. He runs a 4.86 with an 81 percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 9.79. In college, he had 3 years of production with 39 combined tackles, 4 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. The depth chart includes Jonathan Allen, and he's going to be opposite Javon Hargrave and Jalen Redmond. Allen is 30 years old. He's on the first year of a 3-year contract with an out after 2. Ingram-Dawkins is a project. He's got tools and traits, but he's going to need to develop. So let him sit and marinate for a few years, soak up all the Brian Flores knowledge that he can. He's not worth clogging up your fantasy roster with right now.
Packers?
Fun fact about me, sometimes I pretend to be a Packers fan. I'll say things like, "Go Pack, go," but I don't really mean it. The Packers surprised everyone by taking a big old swing at wide receiver in the 1st round. The one they chose was not a surprise. Then they addressed the bulk of their remaining roster needs. Winners. Jordan Love. He got one of his best receiving options yet, and then another one because it was BOGO day in the draft. Losers. Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, maybe Romeo Doubs, mostly any receiver not named Jaden Reed. Also maybe Jaden Reed. This group wasn't getting it done, and now some won't be here come September. In the 1st round, they took Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. He displays excellent body control and good focus. He's got great hands, wins contested catches, shows good moves after the catch. He's got elite long speed. Golden is 5'11", 191 pounds. He runs a 4.29. His comp was Santana Moss, which is pretty good. In college, he had 3 years of production, 134 receptions, 1,975 yards receiving, 22 total touchdowns. The depth chart consists of Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Savion Williams, who I'll get to in a second, Dontavian Wicks, Mecole Hardman, Bo Melton. Watson is 25 years old, on the final year of his rookie deal. He gets injured a lot. He missed 9 games in the last 2 years. Reed is 25 years old. He has 2 years left on his rookie deal. He led the Packers in receptions and receiving yards last year. I'm still high on him, and I think he'll remain in play for this offense. Doubs is 25 years old. He's on the final year of his rookie contract. Wicks is 23 years old. He has 2 years left on his rookie contract, but Wicks, Hardman, and Melton might all be vying for one spot, and that spot probably requires special teams usage, so I'd say Wicks is the odd man out here. Maybe they trade him in camp. Outside of Jaden Reed, I doubt any of the incumbents get a second contract in Green Bay. Matthew Golden was one of my favorites going into the draft, and he landed in a great spot to be fantasy relevant from day one. He could lead the Packers in receptions and yardage this year. The Packers could draft another receiver next year, but I'm not too concerned about Golden's usage or hierarchy on the depth chart. In the 3rd round, they took Savion Williams, wide receiver out of TCU. This dude is electric. He's got plenty of speed, especially when turning the corner. He's got an awesome spin move. He's more than a receiver. He was used as a runner and took direct snaps. There was gadget play usage. Sometimes he lacks focus, which leads to dropped balls. He's aggressive. He's a monster-sized player who rips off chunk plays. Williams is 6'4", 222 pounds. He runs a 4.48. His comp is Cordero Patterson. In college, he had 3 years of production with 130 receptions, 1,655 yards receiving, 20 total touchdowns. He also had 8 dropped passes last year and 40 broken tackles. His college stats and opportunity are the red flags here. Raw, untapped potential, upside. These are the terms that have been applied to him. A lot of these terms were also applied to Christian Watson when he came out of college too. I don't think Williams is stealing much receiving work in his rookie season. He's going to need to earn the trust of the coaching staff first. But I do predict usage in his rookie season. Matt LaFleur will find ways to sprinkle him in here and there, probably with gadget plays specific for him, so unless he face plants during camp or in preseason, he's gonna make this roster. He's a decent stash that you hope grows into something bigger next season. In the 4th round, they took Barron Sorrell, edge out of Texas. He's a solid tackler with good size, often benefits from being in the right place. Physically, he's built for it. He just needs to take his skills to the next level. He's patient, and I know this because he went to the draft and stayed in the green room until he was taken in the 4th round. That is a long wait. He crocheted 3 sweaters and became proficient in Excel. Sorrell is 6'3", 256 pounds. He runs a 4.68 with a 60 percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 9.31. In college, he had 4 years of production with 132 combined tackles, 15.5 sacks, 1 fumble forced. The depth chart is Rashawn Gary, and he would be opposite Lucas Van Ness and Kingsley Anagbare. I wouldn't say that his tape is so much of a red flag as it just didn't wow me. He looks like a depth defender. I'm not investing in him as a rookie. He was the 19th edge taken in the draft. If he develops and finds opportunities later, you could probably find him on the waiver wire. Chicago Bears. The Bears had a very smart draft, probably one of my favorites. The first 3 picks were all about helping their young quarterback. The next 3 were about taking some of the load off of his shoulders. Winners. Caleb Williams. He just leveled up with 2 top-notch pass catchers. Roschon Johnson. The Bears needed a running back, and they didn't take one until the 7th round. I don't know how, but Roschon Johnson lives. Losers. Cole Kmet. Sorry, dude. New boss doesn't like you. In the 1st round, they took Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. He runs routes at all 3 levels and creates separation. He wins quickly off press coverage. He's got good hands, shows good contact balance, and makes catches in traffic. Loveland is 6'6", 248 pounds. He runs a 4.72. His comp was Mark Andrews. He had 3 years of production in college with 1,466 yards receiving and 11 total touchdowns. The depth chart consists of Cole Kmet, Durham Smythe, and Stephen Carlson. Kmet is 26 years old. He still has 3 years left on his current contract. There's an out after this season, and the dead cap money would be low. Smythe is 29 years old. Colston is 28 years old. They're both just depth guys. 0 red flags here, as you would expect for a first-round tight end, and the first tight end taken in the draft. Loveland is the kind of player that has the potential to reach, I'd say, 1,000 yards in a season, which last year would have made him a top 5 at the position. Is Cole Kmet dead? Not yet, but his fantasy stock is definitely in the toilet. Loveland will likely be the first tight end off the board in your rookie draft as well, but I wouldn't sweat it. You can still go 4 or 5 deep in this class and walk away happy. In the second round, they took Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri. He's got good hands, he's elusive, breaks tackles. He possesses my 3 favorite words for a receiver: yards after catch. He has elite body control, tracks the ball well, he's a natural playmaker. His comp is DJ Moore. Burden is 6 foot, 206 pounds, he runs a 4.41. He was first team All-SEC, and I don't know what that means, but it sounds important. He was a former 5-star recruit. He has 9 sisters. That doesn't help you in fantasy football, but goddamn, this man has never seen the inside of a bathroom. He had 3 years of production in college with 191 receptions, 2,263 yards receiving, and 25 total touchdowns. The depth chart is DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Devin Duvernay, and Olamide Zaccheaus. Moore is 28 years old. He's locked up through 2027. After that, they could cut him, but it would result in a $4 million dead cap money hit. Odunze is 22 years old. He was the first-round pick last year. Duvernay is 27 years old. He should be their special teamer, as he is a wicked good returner. Zaccheaus is 27 years old. He's most likely their wide receiver 4 here. Burden was one of my favorites going into the draft, so I'll take as many shares as I can get. There are no red flags. My only concern revolves around his opportunities here in his rookie season. Certainly, he'll be in 3 receiver sets, but when they go to 12 personnel with Kmet and Loveland, Burden's going to be off the field. With a new offensive line, though, Caleb Williams is likely to have more than enough passing yards to feed the needy. And being married to Williams for the long term is something you want in a receiver. Get Luther Burden on your roster. In the 7th round, they took Kyle Monangai, running back out of Rutgers. He's got good fight, moves the pile, he's a violent runner who makes good lateral cuts. But he looked a little slow, and his metrics told the story. He's 5'8", 211 pounds, he runs a 4.60 with a 41 percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 4.03. In college, he had 4 years of production, 3,222 yards rushing, 2,000-yard seasons, 38 receptions, 252 yards receiving, and 28 total touchdowns. 0 fumbles. The depth chart is DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, and Travis Homer. Swift is 26 years old, still the lead back in this offense. He has 2 years left on his contract with an out after this season. If they cut him next season, it's very little dead cap money. Johnson is 24 years old. He has 2 years left on his rookie deal. He's a mediocre back that saw inflated production last year with goal line work. Homer is 26 years old. He's on a 1-year deal for low money. Kyle Monangai is not somebody that I would invest in for fantasy football. I didn't like his tape, his metrics, his college production was okay. I was out on him before he went in the 7th round, but I will admit that there is a tiny bit of opportunity here with the Bears. This backfield is not something that Ben Johnson wants. It's the one he inherited. I think he looked at this Bears roster and saw bigger needs, so he kicked the backfield can down the road until next year. I know that the offensive line is now fixed, but I don't believe in anybody in this backfield for fantasy purposes. And I think next offseason, we are going to see some massive changes. So if you have any of them and any of them pop off this year, sell. Is it Detroit or Detroit? Whatever. Lions. The Lions drafted a lot of needs, but I'm not convinced they did it in the best order. A guard is their only guaranteed starter. Winners. Veteran starters. It's fine. Everything is fine. Losers. Rookies. You missed the Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn years. Fingers crossed. In the 1st round, they took Tyleik Williams, defensive tackle out of Ohio State. A 3 technique that absolutely swallows the run. He has a punch and release move that leaves blockers falling forward, shows violent first contact. He needs to develop his hand usage at the next level. He's 6'3", 334 pounds. In college, he had 4 years of production with 136 combined tackles, 11.5 sacks, and 1 fumble forced. The depth chart is DJ Reader and Roy Lopez. Reader is 30 years old. He's on the last year of his contract. Lopez is 27 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. Based on Reader's age and contract, I would say that Tyleik Williams appears to be the heir apparent at the position. Maybe as soon as next year. Or not. Reader can squeak out another 1-year deal after this season. He's still pretty good, but Williams is set up to be the future. Either way, it doesn't matter to me because I'm not investing in Tyleik Williams. Nothing against him, but nose tackle is generally not a great position for fantasy football, at least not in any of the leagues that I'm in. For example, Dexter Lawrence, who is arguably one of the best at the position, finished outside of the top 10 last year. All of the defensive tackles at the top were either working in a base 4-3 defense or they were one of 2 on the edge in a 3-4 defense with the ability to rush the passer. I am so close to knowing what the hell I'm talking about. In the 3rd round, they took Isaac TeSlaa, wide receiver out of Arkansas. He shows well on the boundary and in traffic, creates mismatch problems as a big old slot, and he's sure-handed. TeSlaa is 6'4", 214 pounds. He runs a 4.43 with a 91 percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 9.93. He had 2 years of production in college with 62 receptions, 896 yards receiving, 5 total touchdowns. The depth chart is Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, Tim Patrick, Khalif Raymond, and Dominic Lovett. St. Brown is 25 years old. He has another 3 years on his contract. He's their best receiver. He's not going anywhere. Williams is 24 years old. The Lions just exercised his 5th-year option. Last year, he finally showed some of the production we knew he could have. They would be smart to extend him at some point. Patrick is 31 years old. He's on a 1-year deal. Raymond is 30 years old. He's on the final year of his current contract. He's their special teams ace. And Lovett is a rookie that was taken in the 7th round. College production is a huge red flag for me. Why didn't all that athleticism lead to more production? Also, the other question is, how will the Lions use him? I assume in the slot, where he took nearly 70% of all snaps while he was in college, but that's where Amon-Ra St. Brown took about 60% of his snaps last season. I'm not overly concerned about this point. I like TeSlaa's potential as a super athletic power slot for the Lions. He'll fit in nicely between Williams and St. Brown in this role. I'm in on Isaac TeSlaa. In the 6th round, they took Ahmed Hassanin, edge out of Boise State. He's a high-intensity, high-motor guy, new to football, still learning, and lacks NFL instincts. He had a lot of missed tackles. He's 6'2", 267 pounds, runs a 4.78 with a 31 percentile burst. He's got an RAS of 7.08. In college, he had 4 years of production with 119 combined tackles, 3 fumbles forced, 24 sacks. I'll forego the depth chart here. He's just fighting for a roster spot, I think, on the 53. In college, he racked up a lot of sacks, which is impressive, but he's still new to football, still learning, and he's not one of those athletic super freaks that simply needs to refine his skills. He's an effort guy, and likely that caps him as a depth player. Too many red flags here for me to even recommend stashing him. And that's the NFC North. Thanks for watching Shutout Football. Say hi to your mom for me, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.